Welcome to Cheater Fallout. Let us get started with today's story. I stood in the driveway with a coffee mug that said, "World's OK Golfer," watching my own SUV taillights fade around the bend of Maple Drive. It was 5:15 in the morning. The air smelled like wet asphalt and expensive mistakes. 10 minutes ago, I was loading the last of the Riova suitcases, the ones I bought last Wednesday, into the trunk. I was checking the flight notifications for our flight to Santorini. A 10-day villa rental, private pool, a chef. The kind of trip you take when you want to celebrate 15 years of grinding your knuckles to the bone to provide a good life. Then Sandra came out. She wasn't wearing her traveling sweats. She was wearing the dress I bought her, her face fully done, eyes hard as marbles. "Put the bag down, Neville," she said, not shouting, just that quiet, flat tone she used when she was returning a meal at a restaurant. I paused, suitcase midair. "We're running late, San. Leo still needs to grab his charger." "You're not going," she said. I blinked. "What?" "You're not going to Greece," she repeated. She crossed her arms, standing between me and the driver's door of my Lexus. "Dustin is coming instead. Leo called him last night. He was crying." "Neville?" He said he couldn't imagine graduating and celebrating without his real father there. "It's a milestone. We need this. Just us, the family, the family." The words hung in the humid morning air like a guillotine blade that had already dropped, and I was just waiting for my head to realize it was in the basket. "Dustin?" I said. The name tasted like battery acid. Dustin, who hasn't paid a dime of child support in 6 years. Dustin, who drives a Honda Civic with a duct-tape bumper. He's going on the trip I paid $42,000 for. "Don't make this about money," Sandra snapped, her voice rising now. "God, that is always your go-to. Money, money, money. This is about emotional support. It's about Leo. If you loved him like you claim to, you'd step back and let him have this moment with his dad. You'll stay here, watch the house, feed the dogs. We'll see you in 10 days. A beat-up Uber pulled up to the curb. Dustin got out. He was wearing a faded jersey and carrying a gym bag. He didn't look at me. He just walked past me, popped the trunk I had just packed, and threw his bag in next to my wife's. He smirked, a tiny quick twitch of the lips. "Thanks for the setup, Neville," he muttered as he slid into the passenger seat, my seat. Sandra got on the driver's side. She didn't look back. She just put the car in gear and drove away. I stood there for a long time. The motion sensor light on the garage flicked off, plunging me into gray darkness. I didn't scream. I didn't throw the mug. I took a sip of the coffee. It was lukewarm. 10 days, I whispered to the empty driveway. "You gave me 10 days. That was their mistake. They thought they broke me. They thought I'd spend the next week and a half wallowing in self-pity, drinking scotch on the couch, and waiting like a whipped dog for them to come home, so I could beg for forgiveness. They forgot what I do for a living. I'm a forensic accountant. I don't get mad. I get exact." I walked back inside the house. The house I bought 3 years before I met Sandra, the house on the lake with the dock and the outdoor kitchen. I walked into the office and sat down at my triple monitor setup. First, I didn't cancel the trip. That would be too easy. It would alert them. If I canceled the credit cards now, they'd be stranded at the airport. They'd call, they'd come back, and we'd have a screaming match on the lawn. No, I wanted them in Greece. I wanted them sipping wine and laughing about how easy it was to manipulate Neville. I needed them out of the country. I pulled up the bank accounts. Our money, that's what Sandra always called it. But looking at the ledger now, the clarity was brutal. I saw the transfers, not big ones, just consistent ones. Groceries, gas, emergency repair. I clicked on a transaction from last month, $400 for car repair. I cross-referenced it with the GPS tracker on Sandra's phone. We shared locations for safety, a feature she conveniently forgot to turn off. On the day of the repair, she wasn't at the mechanic. She was at a dive bar on 4th Street, the same bar Dustin posts from on Facebook. I kept digging. Leo's tuition. I paid it in full at the start of the semester. But here was a withdrawal for $1,500 labeled textbooks and lab fees. I called the university bursar's office as soon as they opened at 9:00 a.m. "Hi, this is Neville Thomas. I'm looking at a charge for books." "Mr. Thomas," the clerk said, "tuition covers all course materials. There are no extra fees." I hung up. I pulled a fresh legal pad from the drawer. I wrote down the numbers. Over the last 4 years, Sandra had siphoned roughly $60,000. Not enough to bankrupt us, but enough to fund Dustin's lifestyle. His apartment rent? Probably me. That new transmission in his junker car? Definitely me. I wasn't a husband. I was a host organism. At 10:30 a.m., I called my lawyer, Saul. Saul is a shark in a cheap suit, the kind of guy who smells blood in the water before the shark does. Neville, he answered. Golf game. Divorce, I said. And eviction. I need to know the laws on selling a primary residence if the spouse isn't on the deed. Silence on the line, then the shuffling of papers. She's not on the title. No. I bought it in 2012. We married in 2016. I never refinanced. I never added her name. I kept it separate because my dad, God rest him, told me to never bet the farm on a handshake. State law says she has marital interest in the equity gained during the marriage, Saul said, his voice switching to business mode. But she can't stop the sale. If you sell it, the proceeds go into escrow until the divorce is finalized. You can sell it out from under her, Neville, but it's nuclear warfare. Judges hate it. She took her ex-husband on my anniversary trip, Saul. She left me in the driveway. Sell it, Saul said. I'll draft the paperwork. I didn't use a realtor sign. I didn't want neighbors asking questions. I called, We Buy Ugly Houses. Well, the high-end equivalent. A group of investors who flipped luxury properties. A guy named Mike came over at 2 p.m. He walked through the house, whistling at the granite countertops in the lake view. I can give you cash, Mike said, standing on the deck. But since you want a 10-day close, I'm going to hit you on the price. Market value is maybe $1.2 million. I'll give you $950,000 cash, closing in 7 days. Done, I said. What about the furniture? Mike asked, gesturing to the Italian leather sectional Sandra loved more than she loved me. Take it, I said. I don't want any of it included in the sale. The clothes, the personal items. I'll move my stuff out. The rest you can donate to Goodwill or burn. I don't care. Mike offered his hand. I shook it. I spent the next 3 days packing. It was surgical. I took my clothes, my golf clubs, my books, and the photos of my parents. I left everything else. I left Sandra's jewelry, the pieces I bought her. I left her designer bags. I left Leo's gaming PC that cost me $3,000. I left the big screen TVs. It felt terrifyingly light. On the 4th day, I went to the bank. I withdrew half the joint savings, exactly half, down to the cent. I left the other half. I wasn't a thief. I was following the law. Then I closed my personal accounts and opened new ones at a different bank across town. On the 5th day, I canceled the autopay on everything, the utilities, the internet, the insurance, the cell phones. I sat in the empty living room on a folding chair eating takeout Chinese food. My phone buzzed. A text from Sandra. A photo of her and Leo clinking glasses of orange juice in front of a sunset that looked like fire. Caption: Healing. I zoomed in. In the reflection of her sunglasses, I could see Dustin. He was holding a cigar. A cigar I knew cost $50 because I had a box of them in my humidor. Or I used to. I didn't reply. On day 7, we closed. The money hit the escrow account. The title transferred. Mike, the investor, told me his crew was coming in on Tuesday, the day before Sandra returned to start demoing the kitchen and bathrooms. They were gutting it. You sure about leaving all this stuff? Mike asked, kicking a box of Sandra's shoes. Legally, it's abandoned property once I vacate, I said, reciting what Saul told me. I'm notifying her via email right now that she has 48 hours to collect her belongings from the storage unit I rented. I wasn't totally heartless. I hired a moving crew to pack her and Leo's personal effects, clothes, papers, the basics, into a 10x10 storage locker in the bad part of town. I paid for 1 month of rent. I taped the key to the inside of the notification letter. On day 8, I drove away. I didn't look back in the rearview mirror. There was no sentimentality. The house wasn't a home anymore. It was just a structure where I had been played for a fool. I checked into a hotel downtown. A suite with a view of the river. I slept for 12 hours straight. The day they returned was a Wednesday. I knew exactly when they landed because my phone started blowing up with notifications from the credit card company. Card declined. Uber card declined. Starbucks card declined. Hertz rental. I had reported the card's lost stolen that morning. I sat on the balcony of the hotel sipping a black coffee waiting. The first call came at 4:30 p.m. Sandra. I let it go to voicemail. The second call was Leo, then Dustin, which was bold considering I didn't even know he had my number. I waited until 5 p.m. Then I answered. Neville? Sandra's voice was a shriek. It distorted the speaker. What the hell is going on? The Uber dropped us off, and the keys don't work. And there are men inside. Strangers. They're ripping out the cabinets. They said you sold the house. Tell me this is a sick joke. It's not a joke, Sandra, I said. My voice was calm. It scared me how calm I was. I sold the house. You can't. That's my house. My name was on the deed, Sandra, just mine. You lived there. There's a difference. Where are my things? She screamed. My jewelry. Leo's computer. Storage unit 42 on Industrial Way. The code is 1234. I paid for the first month. After that, it's on you. I'm going to call the police. Go ahead, I said. I'm sure they'd love to see the bank records of you funneling stolen money to Dustin. I have the spreadsheets, San. I have the dates, the locations. I know about the textbooks and the car repairs. It's called forensic accounting for a reason. Silence. Heavy. Suffocating silence. You stranded us, she whispered. We have nowhere to go. You have a family, I said. You said it yourself in the driveway. You, Leo, and Dustin. You're a family. Families figure it out. Neville, please. Leo is crying. He's scared. Put him on. A shuffling sound. Then Leo's voice. He sounded younger than 18. Nev. Dude, this is messed up. Where are we supposed to sleep? Ask your dad, I said. Ask the man you needed to be there for your milestone. He's the father, right, Leo? Let him provide. Let him get a hotel. Let him buy dinner. He doesn't have any money, Leo said, his voice cracking. I know, I said, and now neither do I. Not for you. I hung up. Then I blocked the numbers. I didn't win right away. The next 6 months were a legal bloodbath. Sandra sued for alimony. She sued for half the house proceeds. She tried to claim emotional distress. We met in a mediation room 3 months later. She looked tired. Her roots were showing. The Tuscan glow had faded into a pale, anxious gray. Dustin wasn't there. Trouble in paradise. I assumed once the ATM stopped spitting out cash. My lawyer, Saul, laid out the evidence on the mahogany table. The transfers, the theft, the unauthorized use of credit cards. We can go to trial, Saul told her lawyer. Neville is ready to press criminal charges for embezzlement regarding the unauthorized transfers. Or you can sign this settlement. You keep the contents of the storage unit. You get 0 alimony. You get 0 from the house sale. And you walk away. Sandra looked at the papers. Then she looked at me. I gave you the best years of my life, she hissed. No, I said, leaning forward. You sold me the best years of your life, and you overcharged me. She signed. It's been a year now. I bought a condo in the city, high-rise, floor-to-ceiling windows, no lawn to mow, no gutters to clean. I heard from a mutual friend that Sandra and Dustin broke up about 2 weeks after the incident. Turns out Dustin didn't like sleeping on a friend's couch with a girlfriend and a moody teenager. He took off to Florida. Sandra is working as a receptionist at a dental office. Leo had to transfer to community college because the tuition checks stopped coming. I saw Leo once. Actually, I was walking out of a steakhouse downtown and he was valeting cars. He saw me. He froze holding the door open for a guy in a Porsche. He looked at me, and for a second, I thought he was going to say something. Apologize, maybe, or shout. I just nodded at him. Polite. Distant. Like you nod at a stranger who holds the door. He looked down at his shoes. I walked to my car, a new Audi, 2 seats, no room for luggage for 3, and drove away. People ask me if I'm lonely. They look at my empty apartment and the lack of family photos, and they give me that pitying look, but they don't understand. Loneliness is sitting at a dinner table with 3 people who are eating your food and laughing at your jokes, all while checking their watches, waiting for you to die or leave so they can take what's in your pockets. That is loneliness. The silence in my condo. The ability to book a flight to Tokyo tomorrow without asking anyone. The knowledge that the person in the mirror is the only one I have to please. That's not loneliness. That's freedom, and it was worth every penny. Thank you for watching until the very end. Wishing you happiness, peace, and a wonderful day ahead.